is.
And a very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lord with the Tuesday, November 4th edition of the CBC Evening News. And our top story tonight, Bees Recycling is moving. The plant has received the green light from the Town Planning Department to move its operations to Vaucluse in St. Thomas. It was previously situated at Reese Road in that same parish. In fact, owner and managing director of the plant, Paul Bino, tells CBC News that construction of the new $20 million facility should start from early next year. A relieved and happy Bino said the new operation will see the present staff complement of 116 increased by at least 40. While not giving a more specific start date, Mr. Bino says between now and the end of the year, he and other officials will be doing everything necessary to prepare for the relocation. Bees Recycling is the largest business in the island, dedicated to reducing the amount of recyclable materials entering the landfill. 3 alternative sites had been considered for the relocation, but the Vaucluse site was considered ideal since it is removed from any residential area. It was back in March last year that fire destroyed thousands of tires at Bees Recycling, sparking calls from residents for its relocation. Well, non-traditional careers might be one of the ways to diversify the Barbadian economy. That's according to Vice President of the Barbados Coalition of Service Industries, Wendell Cumberbatch. But he says this needs to be done with help from the services sector.
For many years, we as a society have placed great emphasis on the traditional careers. However, research has shown that non-traditional careers have the potential to further diversify the Barbadian economy and can contribute to foreign exchange earnings. It's important that we seek ways in which we can maximize our potential to earn foreign exchange. It's critical that we recognize that the service sector has a role to play in further diversification of the economy.
Mr. Cumberbatch was speaking to secondary school students at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center, where the BCSI held a seminar under the theme Realizing the Human Potential. Its aim to educate students on the possible career opportunities available. Project coordinator of the Human Resource Development Strategy Unit, Angela Pollard, encouraged the students to aim for jobs which meet the demands of the labor market.
One of the concerns is that although we've been doing a lot in the area of education and training, is the training that we get effective for meeting the labor market demands, right? Where are the jobs? A lot of people do medicine, but then they can't get a job as a doctor, right? So the whole idea is to be able to have an efficient method of being able to connect the educational system with what the labor market demands are.
The isolation center at Enmore is to be used solely for Ebola patients. That's the word from the Ministry of Health. Permanent Secretary in that ministry, Tennyson Springer, says a decision was taken that infectious illnesses would not be treated at that facility. He revealed that the isolation center is ready to receive patients if necessary, and a dedicated staff of about 40 persons from the Ministry of Health and other agencies are in place. Now, according to Mr. Springer, the ministry sought to address all the concerns raised by the public and would continue to review its options for the long term. He explains that this would include a relook at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital and where an isolation unit could be placed within a reorganized hospital facility. Mr. Springer says the ministry had been advised by its technocrats that it would not be advisable to locate such an intensive care unit in a remote location. Well, Prime Minister Frundell Stewart is leading a high-level team to the 17th special meeting of the Conference of Heads to discuss chikungunya and Ebola over in Port of Spain. Among the delegation is Permanent Secretary Defense and Security Gabrielle Springer and Chief Medical Officer Dr. Joy St. John, along with the Minister of Health John Boyce. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Kamla Persad had called for the special meeting of the regional grouping back in September to discuss the public health issues. The primary purpose of the session is to review action being taken with regard to the current public health issues that are facing the region. Barbados is getting help from the Pan-American Health Organization, PAHO, with its action plan for the Ebola virus. Acting Minister of Health Donville Innes made the disclosure in an address at a Caribbean sub-regional training workshop on emergency risk communication hosted by PAHO at the Crane Resort. The 3-day workshop has attracted media practitioners, professional communicators, as well as representatives of regional ministries of health, PAHO, and the Caribbean Public Health Agency. Minister Innes said PAHO's technical assistance would also involve an evaluation of the protocols which have been developed.
We will benefit from the technical assistance of PAHO, including advisors from the Washington office who will be assisting in an analysis of our plan and an evaluation of protocols and our state of readiness in port health, infection control, clinical management, surveillance, laboratory, and intersectoral coordination for emergencies and disasters. Work on the completion of the protocols is ongoing in preparation for the involvement of participants from sectors other than health, including the private sector.
PAHO and WHO representative Dr. Godfrey Zureb acknowledges that many countries have struggled to respond to these diseases. He describes the meeting as a necessary step.
We are a sub-region of PAHO where the risks of natural hazards leading to disasters, outbreaks such as dengue and now chikungunya and others, are unfortunately common. PAHO and WHO have been working together to ensure that the governments are not only able to manage these emergencies, but are also able to communicate these messages effectively, both during the preparedness stage and as well as during the acute management of any outbreak of natural health emergency.
Management of the Sanitation Service Authority is denying reports of a work stoppage at its Wilde St. Michael depot this morning. Acting Manager Roslyn Knight told CBC News this was not the case as an operational meeting was taking place. The meeting involved management and all staff. Staff were reportedly instructed that vehicles would not be allowed to leave the depot until after that meeting. It came in the wake of recent concerns about garbage collection across the island. Ms. Knight says they discussed the way forward with respect to the SSA and refuse collection. She also sought to clear up reports over comments made at the meeting, which she said were misinterpreted and for which she has apologized. It seems progress is being made in those talks aimed at ending the impasse between the Barbados Community College and the National Union of Public Workers. This is according to BCC Principal Dr. Gladstone Best following last evening's meeting. The two sides were locked in talks which began at 3 at the Labour Department in Warrant. It was mediated by the Chief Labour Officer Vincent Burnett. Issues of contention include contracts for part-time tutors and possible layoffs. Outgoing General Secretary of the NUPW, Dennis Clark, says the sides are to meet again on Monday for a second round of talks. When the Barbados Community College hosts its 41st graduation ceremony this weekend, close to 1,400 students will be graduating. It will also see visually impaired student and the institution's sole winner of a Barbados exhibition, Janelle Odell, delivering the valedictorian speech. Janelle is now pursuing a law degree at the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus. The ceremony takes place this Saturday at the Garfield Sober Sports Complex from 5 p.m. It will be held under the theme Sustainable Development Towards Self-Sufficiency. Country representative for the Inter-American Development Bank, Joel Bransky, will deliver the feature address. The college will confer 1,361 degrees, diplomas and certificates across a range of disciplines. We'll have more news ahead, but first we want to get your take on this question. Should more companies be encouraged to invest in recycling as Barbados moves towards a green economy? Text yes or no to code 8111, the result at the end of the news.
The Barbados Food and Wine and Rum Festival, November 20th to 23rd. Taste the culinary delights of top local and international chefs like Marcus Samuelson, Anne Burrell, Tyler Florence, Roger Mooking, Michael Hines, Dane Sadler, Daphne's Restaurant, and more. The Barbados Food and Wine and Rum Festival, 5th edition, November 20th to 23rd. Visit foodwinerum.com or contact Premier Event Services Inc. at 435-0670. Get your tickets now at Wineborough or ticketbound.com.
Community Files.
The Ministry of Health, in collaboration with Restoration Ministries, the Christchurch West Constituency Council, and the St. Michael South Central Constituency Office, will be hosting a town hall meeting to discuss chikungunya on Wednesday, November 5th at 7 p.m. The venue will be Restoration Ministries, Britton's Hill, St. Michael. All persons in the area are kindly asked to attend.
Coming up this Wednesday on The Mix, we are talking genetics.
with Lecturer of Science, Medicine and Technology at the University of the West Indies, Paul Wade. That's all Wednesday on The Mix. Join us.
A Christchurch man and a St. Michael woman were granted bail when they appeared in court today to answer drug charges. 33-year-old Andre Antonio Jackman of Pitchard Hill St. Patrick's Christchurch and 31-year-old Casita Claudia Williams of Greenfields Roebuck Street, the city, faced 4 charges: possession, possession with intent to supply, trafficking, and cultivation. Jackman and Williams were charged following a drug eradication exercise at Hopefield Christchurch. 58 cannabis plants were seized. They pleaded guilty before Magistrate Wanda Blair at the District B Magistrates Court. Their bail was set at $8,000 and they will reappear in court on January 8th next year. There is a need for urgency if government is to realistically achieve its deficit target and realize sustainable growth. This from President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Barbados, or ICAB, Roger Arthur. He made the comments during a press conference held as part of Accountants Week 2014.
To achieve the target growth of 2% of GDP by 2015, we certainly require urgent action on several of the fronts, including boosting investor confidence, greater efficiency in the legal system, increased productivity in the public sector, and reform, especially in our state enterprises.
Meantime, Mr. Arthur also revealed the results of a survey that ICAB carried out to assess the confidence of its members in the path of the Barbados economy. 10% of ICAB's 838 members have so far participated.
62 of the respondents think that the economy will be worse in 6 months' time, while 32% believe that it will neither be better nor worse. So generally leaning towards a level of uncertainty about the future of the economy. 94% of the respondents believe that companies are letting people go and reducing the workforce based on what they know or have seen. And that's a worrying trend, because if growth is to return to the economy, then we need to have employment.
Well, this story is just in time for the conky season. Imagine a pumpkin weighing 33 pounds. It was grown by budding farmer 10-year-old Shakayla Critchell. Shakayla and her guardian Cynthia Seeley recently visited CBC to show Barbadians the large pumpkin she successfully grew after planting it in June.
My auntie went and bought just a little piece of pumpkin, and it had seeds in it. And when we was doing the pumpkin to eat, we take out the seeds and we put them to dry, and then we carry them in and carry them outside and plant them and water them and see when they will spring up. And this was our first pumpkin that we had.
Listen, Phillip Primary School student said it was during St. Anne's Summer School that she heeded the advice of James Paul when he visited the children and told them that they should eat what they grow and grow what they eat. In the meantime, the exact location of the pumpkin patch is being kept a secret since larger pumpkins have also started to grow. And why pumpkin?
I don't like pumpkin. I love pumpkin.
Meantime, the young farmer already has big plans for her surprise crop.
When we have an independence, we always have the Bajan food, so maybe pumpkin fritters and conkeys together too.
The fishing sector in the region still holds the key to food security and eliminating poverty, particularly in small island states. This is one of the findings of Robert Pomeroy, a professor in agricultural and resource economics at the University of Connecticut. He gave the feature address at the opening of the 67th Annual Gulf and Caribbean Fisheries Institute at the Accra Beach Hotel. The professor cited weak governance, socio-economic conditions, and ecosystem changes as some other challenges facing small islands.
Really looking at fish as a central element of food security, nutrition, and poverty strategies in coastal communities. Fish can be seen as a pathway. This can be seen as a pathway linking fisheries to poverty and food security, looking at the nutritional benefits of fisheries, looking at the income, livelihood, and multiplier effects of fisheries, and looking at fisheries as a generator of revenues. It's looking at the poverty and food security implications of restructuring fisheries. As we think about these new approaches the World Bank and others are putting forward in terms of rights-based management, in terms of market-based solutions, what kind of impacts are they going to have on poverty and food security, and how can we best address those?
Regional News